Today, I'm going to show you guys how to install a Starlight kit into your BMW's headliner. So this is everything in the kit. It comes with the light engine, the optic cables itself, the power cable, the remote, and the adapter. You're also going to need a glue gun with some extra glue, a fuse tap with a 20 amp fuse, a trim tool puller, some extra drill bits, and some extra power wiring. You're also going to want your toolbox nice and handy when you want to pull out your headliner, and as well as a drill just to make the job a bit faster. So the first thing you want to do is get inside your trunk and disconnect your battery. So I have this aftermarket subwoofer in my trunk, so I'm just going to quickly move this out the way and then disconnect the battery. So now I have the sub out the way. I'm just going to lift this back panel up and just hook it to the roof of the trunk, just like that, so that stays there. And now you want to remove this black panel. So normally there should be two pull tabs here and here, but my car doesn't have it, so I'm just going to easily pull it out just like that. And now you have access to the battery. So you're going to want to disconnect the negative terminal, so that just takes a 10mm bolt. So once you've taken out the bolt, you just have it loose. You just pull out the negative terminal, just wiggle it a little bit, make sure not to electrocute yourself, and then it comes out just like that. So now you want to pull out the whole ground cable. So you want to grab a 13mm wrench, put it right here, and then just open towards the back of the car, just like that. So now that the negative ground is off to the side, we have to start pulling out the headliner. So get inside your car, grab your trim tool remover, and then start pulling out the A-pillars. So for the A-pillar, we have to start with this piece over here. So this just comes out with a trim tool puller. So you're gonna stick it in right here and start pulling at it. You go forward, just like that. And just make sure all the tabs get loose. So now you want to grab your Torx 20 and start opening up these three bolts right here. So now that you have those three bolts out, this A-pillar should just pop out very easily. Just like that. Now you want to do the same thing for the other side. So now you want to pull out your sun visors. So there's two Phillips screws right here. And then if you open this part up, there's two push tabs, so you have to pull it out and then they open the space for two more screws. So for these, I just grabbed an X-Acto knife and then I went under like this, and just like that it opens. And then I open the space for the screw over there. So now there should be a pull pin on each side that you just want to pull out. So once you pull the sun visor out, there's going to be a cable connected to it, so you just want to disconnect this cable. So now that those tabs are out, you want to grab your trim tool and just slowly pull at this, just like that. It'll come out. And then there's just a cable over there you want to disconnect. And you want to do the same thing for the other side. So now you want to pull out this center piece over here. So just grab your trim tool again, put it in the gap, and then it just pops out. And just like that. And then you want to disconnect the cable over here. And the same thing with the center lights. You just pull at it, and it just pops out just like that. And then you want to disconnect that cable right here. Now that you have that out, there's a Phillips screw right there that you want to pull out. Now that you have that bolt out, you want to do the grab handles. So these are just tabs you just pull on like that and like that. And there's two Phillips screws you want to do as well. So now for this side, all you want to do is grab a little flathead, put it in like that, and then these pop out. Just like that. Now you want to remove that and that Phillips screw. So after you have that done, you want to remove this windowsill over here. So you just pull at it like this, and it just pops out, and you want to pull out the whole thing. So now you want to remove this. So this one just simply pops out. So if you pull at it, just like that, it pops out. And then you want to disconnect the cable right there. So now we have to go to the back of the car, pull up the rear seats, and remove the shoulders. So the rear seat should be pretty easy. You just pull up at it, and it just pops out. Just like that. You should hear it pop out. So all you want to do is pull up at the rear seat, and then it will give way and you can just slip it right out. There's no bolts. So now, you want to pull out the shoulder. So it's going to be a tab right up here. And if you pull up at this little plastic piece, just like that, the tab's going to come out, so you're going to be fine. Just let that rest like that a little bit. And then you just want to start pulling from the bottom, coming from the side over here. Pull towards yourself. And then this just comes out, just like this. So now you want to do the same thing for the other side. So now you want to remove these passenger door cards. So there's two T20 screws, one right there and one right there. You want to undo those first. So now that you have those two screws out, you want to get a flathead, go behind this weather strip like this and just start pulling at it. And then you'll hear the couple of the clips pop out. Just like that. And then you slowly just start pulling this out. Just like that. And now that once you have it loose, you're going to see a speaker cable that you just have to disconnect. Right here. So now that you have this side done, you want to go ahead and do the other side. So now you want to remove the B pillar. So there's two pushing tabs right here you want to remove. Now that you have those two tabs out, this should just slide out. Just pull towards the bottom of the car. Just like that. So now that you have that out, you want to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. So now, you have to take out the C-pillar. So to do that, you have to remove this light with the trim tool. Just like that. And then remove that cable. Next, you want to grab your Torx 20, undo that bolt. Now that it's unbolted, just pull at it like this. There's tabs in the front, and then the back should just pull out. And then you just want to make sure that cable's out the way, and then the whole thing just comes out. So now, you have to pull out the rear brake light. So you just pull on it like this, and it should just pop out. It's held in by tabs. Extremely tight tabs. But yeah, it just comes out, and then there's one more push pin right here. So the last thing we have to do is pull out these coat hangers. So you just press it on it like that. It opens up, and then there's one Phillips screw in there that you have to undo. So now that the screw is loose, you want to pull it from one side, as the whole other side is for the mechanism. So you want to just make sure you always pull it towards the inside of the car. So now that that's done, you want to get all the edges of the headliner out the weather strips. So you just pull on it a little bit and just make sure it slips out the weather strip. So just like that. See that corner right there? You just want to make sure it's sitting over the weather strip. So after that's done the whole way around, you want to start removing your headrests. So it's really easy. You just put the chair back. You pull up at it, and then you hold this, and then you pull up at the headrest at the same time. It just pops out like this, because you want to make sure that there's enough room for you to pull out the headliner. So you want to remove the headrests. So now the whole headliner is loose. So what you want to do is grab it from the middle, and then push towards the back of the car, as there's two clips holding it in from the back side. So just like this. So this side's out. And now the whole headliner is out. So now that the headliner is out the car, you're gonna have to start prepping the wiring for the light engine. So I'm just grabbing a drill bit that's gonna be wider than this. So I'm using a 7/8, which is a good amount wider, as you can see. We're gonna have to drill into one of the holes at the back of the seat, so there could be access for the wire to come through and go to the light engine. So on the passenger side of the car, right under the shoulder cap, there's a grommet right here that we're gonna drill through so we can have access into the trunk. And just like that, clean through. So as you can see, the hole I just drilled right there pops out right over there. Right there. So now what I'm going to do is set up the ground for the light engine. So I'm going to grab that negative battery terminal that we had earlier. And I'm gonna get some extra wiring. I already cut off the end of it. And basically what I'm gonna do is just connect this wire to the ground right here, where that exposed wiring is. So basically what I did is that I took the cable and I just put it up in there, and then I wrapped it around so it stays nice and secure and it's not gonna move at all. So now I'm gonna go ahead and reconnect this negative terminal to the car. So now that the ground cable is connected to your battery, I'm gonna run this negative cable up from behind this, up on the roof of the trunk, and roughly into that area where the light generator is gonna be. So now that that wire is set up, it goes from behind and it goes right over here. And then I just left this left over because I'm gonna have to cut it later to make it to size. So the negative cable is done. Now we have to do the positive cable. So to power the light engine, I'm gonna be using a fuse tap and a 20 amp fuse to connect it to the cigarette lighter fuse. So I connected the fuse tap to the power cable and I wired it to behind the glove box, and it just pops off from under. It's fairly easy, it only takes like 2 seconds. Now I'm just gonna pull down the fuse box and connect this to the cigarette lighter fuse. So there's gonna be 2 tabs, one right here, one right here, and then your fuse box comes down like that. And the fuse you wanna tap into is that yellow one right there, the 20 amp. That's the fuse we're gonna tap into. So you wanna pull that fuse out, just like that. So now you want to grab your 2 fuses that you have. This is the one that came with the kit, and then this is the one that I just pulled out the car. And then you want to connect them right here. You want to connect both fuses. So after you have both fuses connected, you can just simply plug this into the same fuse that you pulled it out of. And if you close this, you can barely even notice it. It's right there, that gray one. And then it's popping out the back. And I'm just going to tuck it under this trim and go all the way to the back of the car. So after that cable is tucked in the whole way, all the way from the front, and it pops off from right there. You can now take the rest of this. It doesn't really matter where it sits because it's all going to be covered. But you just want to stick it through that hole we drilled in through earlier. So here, as you can see, I pulled the cable from under here and I just stuck it under this insulation. And then I ran it up, and then I just kind of twirled it around with this just so it stays snug somewhere. And then I stuck it through the hole and I pulled it out from here. So before I go ahead and start installing everything, what I did is that I took the negative cable that was connected to the ground of the battery and then the power cable, and I hooked them up. So the negative is the black one and the positive is the power that goes towards the glove box. And I just want to plug this in and double check and see if everything works. Okay, so as you can see, it works. So you know you're good, so you can start installing everything back now. So I got all my tools ready. I got the hot glue gun warming up with my extra glues. I got my drill with the smallest drill bit I can find. And then I basically just set the headliner onto the floor and I taped it up. So I know like a rough idea of where I'm gonna do it. And then I'd say you want about 2 to 2.5 feet just sticking out so you have enough to cable it to your trunk. So basically what I did is that I split the cables 50-50. So 1/2 for here and then 1/2 for there, just so I have a general idea of how much I want to use. And literally all you're doing, you drill a hole like this, straight through the headliner. And then you grab one of the cables. Just like that. Then I can find the hole. I'll stick it through like that. And then you want to glue it shut so it doesn't move. So you basically just repeat that process until you use every single strand you have. So it's about a day later now, and this is how it came out. It's all done, and I used every single strand, and I basically just routed all the EL wires to the passenger side. Now we just have to put it back together. So to put it back together, you just want to follow the same steps I just showed you guys, but in reverse. So I'm putting back the C-pillar. And as you can see, the EL wire pops out from under there, goes from behind, goes under, and then just goes through right there. Okay, so now I have the light engine mounted. I just drilled holes behind it and then zip tied it on, and it's on there really sturdy. It's not gonna move. And then I also connected my power, and it's working. And that's how it looks like so far. Okay, so now that I know everything works, I'm just gonna continue putting back the interior. Alright guys, so about 2 hours later, I finally have the interior back together, And this is how it turned out. So other than that, I hope you guys found the video super helpful. If you guys have any questions, just leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.